Utah charter school linked to polygamous Mormons under investigation. In the state of Utah of the United States of America, the West Valley City Public Charter School is under investigation by the Utah State Charter Board for its lack of diversity and spending irregularities. Fox 13 News reported that Vanguard Academy has ties to the Kingston Group, a known polygamist sect of Mormonism in Utah. And not just any sect, guys, a notoriously fundamentalist, child-abusing sect, cult. Within the past 5 years, Vanguard Academy has enrolled only one non-white student. The school has also spent hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars on companies directly related to the Kingston family, according to public records. The Kingston Group is one of Utah's only hate groups, declared such by the Southern Poverty Law Center in 2017. Quote, Vanguard has never, will never use discrimination or bias to describe enrollment or single out our students on the basis of race, religion, family, surname, or any other association, said Susanna Owen, the Vanguard Academy principal. Owen also commented that she was, quote, not familiar with the Kingston Group. However, multiple past and present members of the Kingston Group and family members say that Owen is one of the spiritual wives of Hiram Kingston. A former member of the group stated, it is well known that Susanna is married to Hiram Kingston, who is the leader's brother. I think if Susanna is going to lie about being affiliated with the Kingston, then that just discredits everything else that she has said. So there are a lot of different issues that are going on here. But I'll before I really dig into that, I want to get your guys' take.
Can you give us this is a bit confusing. Can you give us a dumbed down version of what's going on?
So there are charter schools in America. They fall outside of public schooling, but they use public funds. So there are a couple things that are going on here. There are accusations of racist enrollment. Not policies, but behaviors, okay, because there's only one non-white student who was enrolled. Then there is the accusations of their spending irregularities, meaning that, schools have various services that they need to use. Maybe it's building something, maybe it's who they get materials provided from, etc. This Vanguard Academy has an unusual history of using basically every service is a group that is known to be a business owned by the Kingston Group, meaning that they are using public funds to pump money into a fundamentalist cult. The business is owned by a fundamentalist cult. This woman is alleged to be a spiritual or secret wife of the leader's brother, who is very powerful. So this family member said it's a spiritual wedding. So because they're not married on the books, there is no marriage certificate, in the civil courthouse. It's a spiritual wedding, and it's just as good in God's eyes, said a former member of the group, Amanda Ray. It is so hard for me not to laugh. It is well-known fact that Susanna is married to Hiram Kingston, which is the leader's brother. And then, like I said, she says if she's going to lie about even being affiliated with the Kingstons, then it just discredits everything else that she has said. So people in the community are like, what are you talking about? You're not familiar with the Kingstons. You're married to, like, the second powerful most Kingston. Like, second most powerful Kingston.
So are they going to get in any legal trouble?
Yes. So, well, just a second, I'll get into that. So Owen's defense was when talking about their spending irregularities and her familiarities with it. She said, no, like I said, this is a public charter school. We do business with whoever has the business that will fulfill our needs. Whether they're affiliated with any kind of religion isn't part of the process. And so we are in the process of doing a thorough review of the school's procurement process and policies, stated Stuart Okobia, this financial compliance manager for the Utah State Charter School Board. So now they're in trouble with this board of the charter schools. When completed, we feel like we will be able to see if anything was violated or against the law or any broad board rules. Although members of the Utah State Charter School Board did not comment on the investigation, they expressed the importance of diversity and inclusion in public schools. And why don't we have a student body that more or less reflects that, plus or minus a certain percent, said one board member, Cynthia Phillips. So there's two issues here. There's accusations of racism, and then there's them not being above board on how they're spending their money, or the fact that it's extremely suspicious that it is all going to businesses that are known to be owned by this fundamentalist cult. For those who are not aware, Mormonism actually has, I don't know if it's a doctrine or just kind of a cultural thing, but there's a specific phrase that I can't remember right now about Mormons basically bleeding the state dry. Because they think that because they are God's chosen people, they are entitled to take money from the state. So they are known to use a lot of different loopholes, policies, taking advantage of single mother support, to bleed the state dry because they think they deserve it because they are God's chosen people. And I could be getting some of the details of that wrong, but I do know that that is a practice in some aspects of Mormonism. And so, because when I'm talking about the single mothers, I'm talking about these women who are not legally married to these men. They have just a lot of children with these men, but they are not legally married, so they can take advantage of state welfare support because they are legally single mothers. So the state is then therefore funding these ginormous families. But Rivka, what's your take on this?
Oh yeah, as far as what you were saying about, there's one thing I thought of when you said how they spend their money, and I thought, well, no, how they spend the taxpayers' money.
You're right.
So that's part of the alleged, either violation or malfeasance or, conflict of interest or whatever they're calling it. I don't think malfeasance is alleged, but that they're favoring this particular religious organization. And so it's a religious charter school getting public money and then funneling it back into another religious organization. So, that is an issue. And then the idea that, so polygamy is illegal, so they can't be married, at the courthouse, but they're still engaging in these plural marriages, which then they're justifying and, apologizing for. And, so I find the whole idea of religious charter schools problematic, to use a, popular word, because are they paying taxes if they're religious organizations, or is the taxpayer money going into religious organizations that aren't paying taxes either?
Mm-hmm.
All of this is very, in my opinion, it's a convoluted sort of, loophole, if you will, that somehow people get to take taxpayer dollars but don't replenish those taxpayer dollars to then further their, dogmatic indoctrination of children.
So I would also like to note that the Kingstons are also known as the Latter-day Church of Christ, as opposed to the Latter-day Church of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, which is the more mainstream Mormon church. They broke from mainstream Mormon church because of the mainstream Mormon church started to distance itself and reject the doctrine of plural marriage or polygamous marriage. So they are defined by their practice of polygamy. And they're just known for a plethora of abuses. They're also known for consanguineous relationships. That means marriages amongst a common ancestor, so like cousin marriages, or uncle marriages, stuff like that. And if you just Google like Kingston Group, Utah, some of the first things that came up on my browser was Polygamous Kingston Group may have swiped millions in student aid, lawsuit says. And also, feds moved to seize the homes and businesses from Polygamous Kingston Group as fraud defendants plead guilty. Okay, so they are, and this is from years ago. They are well documented in participating in widespread fraudulent conspiracy. So this is a huge problem, and I'm glad that the board is investigating this.
I forgot to add one thing too. Now, I don't know whether these charges of racism are true or not. You know, maybe there just isn't a diverse population of which they're drawing from. You know, who knows? But it is concerning considering the Mormon Church itself history of racism and not allowing Black people to be deacons in the church or elders, or even being, you know, coming Mormon until the 70s, I think it was. Now, don't quote me on that, but there's a history of exclusion and discrimination against Black people in the Mormon Church. You know, the whole tribes of Ham.
Oh yeah, they're extremely anti-Black.
So the fact that this might be something that you would see in a fundamentalist sect isn't necessarily surprising, although, you know, we don't know, that hasn't been proven or not. I don't know, but, you know, you can follow a money trail easier than, you know, it might take more investigation to figure out whether people are deliberately discriminating against people.
Yeah, I completely agree. And hopefully there will be consequences for this.
And also subscribe to our newsletter, because if we get removed from all these platforms, at least we could reach out to you. And guys, by the way, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free copy of Why There's No... Where's your copy, Susanna? Get it. We're doing promotion. You get a free... It's not even promotion, it's free. Okay, so if you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description, you get a free copy of Why There's No God. Come on, like, I'm handing it out for free. Okay, it's a bestseller on Amazon, and you get it for free. So subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a free copy of Why There's No God sent to you. Link in the description.